So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. I promised I was 100% ready for this podcast and didn't realize at 9 o'clock that we were supposed to be live and had to start making my intro video and everything, and then realized that I'd put the stream up live. Promise that didn't happen, but it actually did. But how's everyone doing? How are you doing? I'm joined today by James. James is at the Hold 1874 on Twitter, and I'm sure you guys have all seen him. And I'm delighted to have him here tonight. We're going to chat about, we started off thinking we were just going to chat about the Australian tour preview. We've had a bit of news today as well, and I'd like to get your take on it as well, James. Before we get into that, how are you doing today? Have you melted? Because I hear that it's apparently like 4 degrees hotter than the sun.
Yeah, it's been really warm. I was burnt from yesterday anyway, and then it's just not helped today. It's been hot as well. So, but I'm all right other than that. You?
I'm good. I have to laugh at Ronan. Yes, Ronan, it did take me 11 minutes to Photoshop that hat on Mings. That's how bad I am. That's how bad I am with Photoshop. Yeah, it's the best I could think of as well. It's the best I could think of to kind of convey the Australian spirit that we were going for. But James, delighted to hear that you're good, and I hope everybody over there in the UK is okay, because it's kind of weird today. I was listening to the radio and they said, actually, guys, it was kind of like something in a movie. It was like Dante's Peak or something. It was like it's going to get really hot out there, and there's been warnings that it might affect people's lives, that people might die from the heat. I was going, Jesus.
Yeah, they're saying it on the radio all day, saying make sure you try and stay at the sun and drink more water than you usually would. So it's hot.
Hot. Well, is it not fitting, I suppose, that we are going to talk about the Australian tour soon, because they're going to go to a few places where it will be quite hot, and there will be quite acclimatization needed. And we will get onto that in a moment. But as I say, over the last 24 hours, there's been a bit of news, and I suppose let's just start with it. Probably the one that came out of nowhere was Finn Azaz, just a half an hour ago, gone to Plymouth on loan. Are we ever going to see him in it? Like, is that going to be the one where everybody says, I saw Finn Azaz playing Villa shirt that one time?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's played 45 minutes for us, like in some capacity with the first team, and that was probably also maybe down to the amount of people, the amount of first teamers that weren't there. But I mean, I like what I saw from him on Saturday. I think he looks an intelligent little player, and I thought we might see a bit more of him in Australia, but I think the club obviously thought he needs a bit more experience lower down in the leagues. I thought it might be Championship, but League One it is, obviously. We'll just see how he gets on there, I guess.
Yeah, it's a strange one for me because, well, it's not strange. I thought he probably would go out on loan, but I thought he'd go out on loan next month. You know, like I thought he'd go out on loan maybe the start of August or the middle of August or the end of August or something too. But as Ad says here as well, that is true. Ad says he's signed a new contract as well. I don't think this is obviously his swan song and his farewell with Aston Villa. I think they're probably boxing clever in this one, and I'm kind of thinking on the spot here as we're doing this, because it's only fresh off the press really. But I think the thought process behind it is he is 22 years of age. They want to keep those spots in the 23s, in the under 23s. It is going to be changing to under 21s, I think, as well soon, whether it's this year or next year. I can't remember. But it will be changing. So that would rule him. Well, that would mean he would have to be one of our overage players if that rule is still there. I actually don't know a whole pile about what that rule change is going to be.
Yeah.
So maybe loaning him out as well gets him 42 games or 45 games or whatever a season, as opposed to like 16 games at the under 23s. Maybe it's just from a development point of view.
Yeah, I mean, they're protecting his value as well, obviously. We don't know how long the contract is that he's signed. I imagine maybe 2 to 3 years if he's got a season out on loan now. They're thinking ahead, obviously, because, I mean, we only signed him last summer, was it? He's had one season out on loan already. Obviously, League Two, Newport, now he's making a step up to League One. They're obviously thinking we get to see how he progresses. Maybe like Kesler Hayden, if he has a really good first, 4 or 5 months, they might think about trying to step him up, fast tracking him in January, and see what he can do then. But obviously, as I say, protecting his value, increasing it, hopefully, and we see what he's capable of, whether he, goes out on loan again next season or whatever.
Yeah, and I think he did himself no harm at the weekend. He was one of the players who came out of it with lots of plaudits. You could hear him.
Yeah.
He was a really tidy player. Like I mentioned in my post-match that in my DMs and a couple of chats I've been having with people actually likened him. And I know that it's one game, it's 145 minutes against the League Two team that had 3 trialists on at one given time, at any given time, should I say. But he was likened to 30-year-old Gareth Barry in the way that he kind of anchored that bottom of the midfield and just kept the ball moving, kept it moving, 8 to 10 yard passes, and did it really slickly and was always in position. And I think that there's a lot to be said for that discipline within that position. So if he can grow in that, if he can kind of stay in that position, and Stephen Schumacher is the manager for with Plymouth at the moment. I don't know a whole pile about him, other than he was a guy like. I remember him when he was coming through the ranks at Everton, but pretty much nothing about him since he's become a manager. Maybe he's got the style that he plays. I don't know what to think.
Yeah. There was one thing I found interesting because I'm pretty sure he was sort of an attacking midfielder at Newport, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure he is naturally more attacking, but the weekend he was playing a little bit deeper, and at times he was dropping in between the defenders. So obviously, that's something the coaches thought, let's see if he can control a game, sort of thing, alongside Nakamba, and Nakamba sweeping up. And he was sort of sitting there just playing tidy little passes. His positioning was quite good as well. I thought he knew how to read a couple of the passes. So it was good to see.
And that was the thing. He knew, he was very adept at playing a weighted pass into kind of. Yes, he was obviously able to play it into feet and things like that when players were there. But could you imagine if he was playing with Buendia or Coutinho, he was able to play that weighted pass into almost a space. Now, I'm not saying he played it into an acre of space, but he played it into that 2 or 3 yards of space whereby a player could get turned, maybe get onto the ball. I'm not saying that they were able to turn and get running at defenses, but they were able to move players around the place. And I think that's a skill in itself. And I don't think Douglas Luiz has that for all he does within the game. I don't think he has that ability to be able to play that ball maybe 3 or 4 feet wide of a player and be on the same wavelength that the player knows he's going to do that as well, because I think that's an acquired talent as well. But look, we'll see what happens from him. It just means I'm going to have to find myself a Plymouth Argyle podcast and get them on a couple of times during the season. And I absolutely love that. So once again, Plymouth Argyle, if I'm not mistaken, that's where Conor Hourihan went to cut his teeth after he got released by Sunderland. So let's look if we get another Conor Hourihan out of him. That'll be a success story in itself. He can come play for Ireland because he's Ireland qualified as well, as we did find out. We also have a new left back. I presume he's on his way, first class, feet up in the air. Up in the air, feet laid up in first class, and maybe a Qantas flight, or I don't know if they're even still an airline, on his way down to meet his old mate Robin Olsen. But Ludvig Augustinsson is in, is done. Cumulative fee including loan could be up to 4.5 million. That's if we purchase him, but the option to buy is there for next season. And I know that we're on the same wavelength to this because we've spoken about him, maybe even off camera as well. But he is, I think it's a good piece of squad construction. It's not going to knock anyone's socks off, but I think it kind of it solidifies an area for us that Stephen Gerrard needs a particular type of player in there and needs to have a certain level of quality in there that I just don't think he felt safe with an Ashley Young, or he didn't think that Ben Cresene would have that ability just yet. But he didn't want to block the dam for him, should he say? And it does give the opportunity for Ben Cresene to progress maybe in a year or 18 months' time.
Yeah, that's it. I think that I said something about this earlier. I think it was smart. They've thought about everything. They've probably took into account Cresene. They've took into account Young. They've thought we need to plan around that. They thought maybe Cresene just needs a little bit more experience. So they've gone for the loan with option to buy, because if it comes to next summer and they think, Cresene is not quite ready still, a little bit more experience, it means we can have that option to buy. 4.5 million, I think it was, did you say? It's not a big fee. So I think it's just really smart business. And for me, it screams Johan Lang all over it. Obviously, he's worked with him before, Copenhagen. So it just makes sense. I think you have those links. I think it helps especially settle him into the squad as well. So yeah, I'm all happy with that. I think it was good squad management, as you say.
He signed him for Copenhagen as well from Gothenburg
Yeah.
in 2015 after he ran roughshod in the Euro under 21 championships when they won it in 2015. So he does know what he's capable of doing. And it's funny if you Google him and you see what obviously the Swedish Norwegian rivalry is still there, and Augustinsson had some actually, I don't know. It might come back to bite him in the arse because he said some choice words about Erling Haaland, about him being some sort of a bitch or a baby or something. You guys can Google it. You guys can Google it. But
That's an interesting one.
yeah, we can take that for what it's worth. If he does come up against Erling Haaland at some stage this season. We also had another bit of business today, James, and once again another player that played at the weekend at Walsall has gone out on loan, and that's Sinisalo. I was going to have a go at pronouncing his first name. But Sinisalo, the goalkeeper, has gone out on loan to Burton to be their first choice goalkeeper. I think it's a really good deal for him. I think it's a really good deal for the club. And I'm a big fan of goalkeepers going down the leagues to cut their teeth, because especially if you're playing, like Burton are obviously going to play decent football. They've become synonymous with it, with playing decent football and having kind of a colloquial kind of family-run ethos and so on like that. And obviously, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank is their manager at the minute. They're in League One. They finished 16th out of 24 last season, and it's going to be a situation where he's probably going to be peppered with shots, I would say, this season, because they attack pretty okay, and their defense is a bit poor, is what it was last season for times. So look, have as many shots come at him as you possibly can.
Yeah, and I think that is obviously what you want to see. You want to see how reliable they are shot stopping. But I thought there was a couple of moments on the weekend. I thought his distribution was pretty good. Played a good ball over the top to Archer, and that's something that I think we need to look at. Obviously, with keepers now, how good they are with the feet. I think when I think about the City game, last game of the season, City players knew to target Olsen when we passed it back because he's not fresh, and I think you need the keeper, as well as being good at shot stopping now, quick with the feet, quick with the mind, obviously, as well. And I think you might not really get the chance to see that when he's at Burton. As you say, it's probably going to be more shot stopping that you're going to see from him, but also playing game week in, week out, he will have a chance to, sharpen all of his skills. And I will be watching that because I think he looks a really good prospect in goal. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what he does there.
Now, I did mention that he's going to be their number one. I think he's going to be their number one. And I'm going to be honest with you. The only reason I say that is because there's a guy on Twitter called Gab Sutton. He's a young fella, and he literally, this guy's encyclopedic with his EFL knowledge. He knows everything from championship down. And this guy seemed to maintain that Ben Garrett was their number one last season, but he just was deficient in a couple of areas. And he thinks that Sinisalo is going to come in and play their number one, play as their number one goalkeeper. So that's just I'm literally, disclaimer alert, I'm robbing Gab Sutton's take on this one because I actually couldn't tell you if Ben Garrett was good or if he was made out of duck feathers. For all I know, I have no idea what the hell he's like. So take that from with a pinch of salt. It is Gab Sutton's, and he's a great guy. And actually, I'd like to get him on the podcast if I could at some stage. If we did have a load of these loans that were going to the EFL, it would be quite nice to do that as well. So it's been a lot of ins. Well, there's been one in. There's been did I say 3 outs? 2 outs? Has it been 2 outs? 2 outs. 2 outs, and there's been people on the way to Australia as well. So bodes well for the club. There's always going to be some outs and some loans that will come in. I'm just surprised that they've happened so early. Well, I'm not surprised by the goalkeeper happening so early. And I just wonder as well, now we've only got 2 goalkeepers. So is there chatter of Jed Steer being ready to rock again? Does Philip Marshall step up to the plate? We're going to need a third one.
Yeah, because if you've got the one injury, then you've only got 2 left. You always have one on the bench. Obviously, we really hope that Martinez doesn't get injured anyway. But I think it might be left to Marshall. I don't know, but we'll just have to wait and see. I guess Steer would be a good third choice for me if that was what it was. So time will tell.
And as everyone always says, you don't ever want to see your sub goalkeeper play. Never mind your third goalkeeper play. Anyway, like at that stage, you're probably re-evaluating what what you're going to do for the rest of the season if your third goalkeeper is playing for any concerted minutes or concerted period of time. So there is that involved in the thought process too. Right, let's get on to our Australian preview. And realistically, I suppose this is just what we want to see. We're going to, and this is very much, we haven't scripted this. We never do. Says everybody on the other end of the television going, fucking course you don't script it. You guys on the team are talking about the best of times. But we definitely haven't scripted this one. But I think what we'll do is we might go down through a couple of players that you think that you're looking forward to seeing, that you think need to have a good tour. And obviously I will do the same as well. But before we do, there was a question here. And 007 says, you and Paddy doing a team sheet tantrum on Sunday morning. Patrick is going to be on holidays from Thursday on, or from Wednesday or Thursday onwards, I think. So he's reliably informed me that it would take a band of wild horses to drag him up out of bed on Saturday morning and Sunday morning to do the team sheet tantrum. So Patrick will not be here. I'm planning on it. On it. Now, I have a very, very big game that I'm going to go watch Sunday myself. It's an Ireland final and Limerick are playing in it. And if I get a ticket to go to that, I will need to be up early in the morning. But I could be severely drunk or hungover, one or the other, at 4:20 in the morning. So believe me, I'll have a crack at it. So we will see. But it is this Saturday. This Saturday is when it all kicks off. And kicks off this Saturday against Leeds United. The old foe from the Championship once more. And a team that have, there's a lot of guys that they've brought into that club, and it looks like Rafinha probably won't even be there by Saturday. Well, he's not going to travel anyway, and obviously Calvin Phillips is left. But they're going to have some names on show, James. And what do you feel about, I suppose, the opposition for the game on Sunday? And does it really matter? Is it that much of a dead rubber of a preseason game? It doesn't really matter who we're playing.
Yes and no. I think obviously this early in pre-season, you are hoping for good results, keep momentum going. But obviously, main thing, you're looking for fitness, sharpness, no injuries, bit of chemistry, working on your game plan for the season. And I mean, they've had a few weeks off. A few of them will be rusty as it starts up. But I think it's a good test against Leeds, no matter if it's at an intense level or not. You're up against a better opposition than Walsall, obviously. And we've got a game against, what's the team name? Is it Brisbane Roar? Brisbane Roar, yeah. So, we've got a game against them in between Leeds and United. So there's a bit of different opposition. But as I say, for me, especially last Saturday as well, it's all about getting them back sharp. And now we've got more of the squad together, seeing what we can, work towards game plan wise. Because, I mean, I'm still not 100% sure on what the system could be next season. With Critchley coming in and new players. So I think that's what's interesting me. See how we set up over the next few games.
I think so too. I think so too. And like I mentioned there that, does it really matter what the opposition is on Sunday? And it absolutely does, because the players are going to go on to get their hands on the Queensland Champions Cup. It's up for grabs. You beat Leeds and then you face down the barrel against the Brisbane Roar team in their own patch in Townsville on the 20th of July. Like that's why players suit up their boots in the morning. That's why they've gone from like 3 or 4 year olds in our back garden. It's exactly where they want to be. And just like the Peace Cup and the massive yoke that they gave to Jack Carney, the size of like a two-story building. That will take pride of place in our trophy cabinet. It might be the only silverware we get this year, so might as well win it while we're there.
Hold on to that.
Yeah, we traveled 15,000 miles around the world. We might as well win the bloody thing that we're there to win. But I think they will take it seriously. I think Stephen Gerrard would. I think he kind of has that same sort of mentality as a Martin O'Neill, in the fact that he's spiteful when he doesn't win. And I don't think that's news to anybody, because you just have to look at his face. His face like thunder at the best of times when they don't win. And I think that he will go hell for leather with it. Specifically, I think against Leeds, because they will have that rest game in the middle against Brisbane Roar. So I wouldn't be surprised. And I've changed my tune from the post-match of last week. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe more of our first team involved for at least a half on Saturday, because they have been acclimatizing there. It will be almost 7 days that they'll have had to acclimatize. It will be 7 days, because a lot of the internationals are there since Sunday, they'll have had time to acclimatise, and there's a good tranche of them down there. So I'm enjoying some of the videos that they have. Like Emi Martinez seems to be consistently slagging Phil Coutinho, and I'm loving it. He
It's
doesn't
great,
seem to
isn't it?
care.
I love it. I love seeing all the players getting on and having a bit of banter. It's brilliant.
I think so too. I love that. I love the way that Phil Coutinho didn't really know what to do because he knew there was a camera in his face, and Martinez was slagging him about the kangaroo, about being a kangaroo. And I think it was a kangaroo. It could have been a wallaby. I'm sorry if there's anybody from Australia. I don't know my kangaroos from my wallabies. I do apologize. But it's as I say, that was a bit of crack, and you could see John McGinn there was only rare to get involved in the slagging match, but couldn't quite get on camera to do it. And you've seen pictures of Jacob Ramsey out there as well. Looks fit, looks lean. Of course he is. He's a professional footballer, but really interested to see what he's going to do. But against Leeds, what's your feeling on it? Do you think that he's going to fire? Do you think I'm backing up the right tree with that one? That he's going to fire out his I'm not going to say his best team, but approaching his best team.
Yeah, I agree. I think we'll see Kamara for at least a half, maybe a little bit more. 100%. We're going to want to see it. The fans will want to see it. That's the thing. As well as obviously the coaches wanting to get a good look at him. But I'm guessing 9 first teamers and a couple of youth players, maybe, particularly Archer, I think. So yeah, I expect a strong team for at least a half.
Yeah, there's one here from Ian. He says, interesting, Konza and Ming. Oh, sorry, I'll go to the first one because this is kind of a two-part. From last season, I realised the importance of pair chemistry. Watkins, Ings, Buendia, Coutinho. This was definitely an issue last season. And also, interestingly, Konza and Mings, which with the fullbacks pushing up, left them more exposed, and they both looked a little shell-shocked by it. Absolutely agree. I don't think we're going to see Konza, although he is running. He is on grass at the moment, which I think is absolutely staggering that he's back already. I don't think we're going to see him on this tour, and if we do, I don't know what we do, or what the story is with him, because it seems mixed messaging that it seemed it was a pretty bad enough tear, and if he's back this soon, absolutely fantastic. But I'd prefer to play it safe with him. I think we'll probably see Carlos and Mings once again, and I think that they won't be afraid to move and I think Josh Feeney is the next guy up. I think he really is.
He looked good the weekend as well. I think he just looks a little bit ahead of his age. I mean, I suppose you would get that. He's captain England at a young age as well. Is it the under-17s, under-16s, something like that? Yeah. He's one of those players that I think Gerrard would love because he's good on the ball as well. He doesn't look phased under pressure. It looks like he can pick out a good pass as well as reading the game. So, he's got a bit more physical development to do. He's still a young lad. But other than that, I think he's going to be a really good player.
Yeah, he's only 17. He's only gone 17 since the 6th of May.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And he's been named on the bench for Aston Villa a couple of times as well. And I wonder, I know Lamar Bogart is most likely going to be on the plane. I wonder if somebody like Svinkels is going to be on the plane. Because every time I see Svinkels, I go, wow, he could be a wrestler in the morning. He's a big, tall, strong man. He's a fully grown man, at the age of 18, 19. So I wonder if they're going to be down there as well. And I know he can't take everyone, but it'll be interesting to see. I haven't seen a squad list that has travelled to Australia announced yet. No. And I know Ashley Priest is on his way down at the moment. I'm hoping that we would get some info from him, because that lucky bastard's after getting a trip to Australia. I know it's work, but still.
Yeah,
I hope he goes well, though. I hope we get some good bits and pieces from the Birmingham Mail, because I like Ashley. I like the stuff that he puts out. I like a lot of the fact-based stuff that the Birmingham Mail puts out. I like, and a lot of the analysis stuff I like.
Me too. I think he seems like a good bloke. There's a lot of talk about him on Twitter all the time, but I think he's great. I like his content, and I think he just seems honest. He just says what he knows. So yeah.
100%. We've had him on the podcast here as well before, and before and afterwards. God, I must have been about an hour and a half talking to him about. I think he's got Irish heritage and stuff like that, and I just felt he was just a real down to earth, honest guy. What you see is what you get, and you gotta appreciate that too. So, Ashley, if you're watching, keep doing what you're doing, buddy.
Yeah,
really appreciate you. So we move on to Brisbane Roar, and Brisbane Roar is the next game. What's the story? No one really knows what to think of in that game, but I do think that that's probably a game for the likes of The Cameron Archers might start and might get a bag full. You know, it might be one that maybe a Danny Ings gets it going to maybe get the old shooting mechanisms going again. What would you do if you were in Steven Gerrard's boots? Because it's only coming 3 days off the back of playing against Leeds, and I would imagine they're going to go full tilt and have a good rattle at Man United to finish out the pre-season as well.
I think we'll see a bit more of the fringe players again, maybe a bit more of Traore. I think we might even see Tim. Maybe,
yes.
Yeah, because I mean he flew out last week as well. I think alongside with Carney and that, and I think he would be someone that we might see play in that one because it'd be that sort of level. I think you'd want to see what he can do. Well, we know what he can do, but in amongst all the other different players that are playing, I'm interested to see what we do with him this season because obviously there's a lot of talk about loans, but I personally really like him. I'd have him as second option behind Kamara, but this is also, I don't again know what the system is. This is, I was going to say, I think against Brisbane might be something where we see a bit of a tinkering if he's got, because as I've said before, Gerrard talks about adaptability. So if he's got a plan B, that might be a game where we see it tested out as alongside playing, some of the youth players or fringe players. So I think that's one to watch for that.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah, we didn't script this beforehand, but we are in the same wavelength more often than that, myself and James, and I believe that too. Like I'm not 100% certain that Tim shouldn't be the. And look, I know people are going to say, "Well, what do I have this to base this on?" But just based on conversations I've had with people in the academy, and if you haven't listened to the Academy of EFC conversation I had, it's on the audio podcast. It's on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. It's up there. I don't have it on YouTube, and there's a couple of reasons for that. But as I say, if you haven't listened to it, he speaks absolutely glowingly of Tim Urugboom, and he says that essentially, like, you look at Carney, Carney can do it. And then you look at Tim and you go, my God, this guy shouldn't be here either. He is just ridiculous. And he said that he's one of the players that got people excited as well watching the 18s and watching the 23s on a week in, week out basis, and he could 100% see why he was fast tracked into the team. And what I'm getting at there is that. Maybe we're not even 100% sure that he isn't number 2 behind Kamara over somebody like a Marvelous Nakamba, because Marvelous Nakamba is good. He's good, but he does have these glaring deficiencies.
Yeah. He's got boundaries, I think. When it comes
that's the word I wanted to use.
Yeah, when it comes to his ball playing, I think he can play a nice, even if it's a line breaking 5-yard pass, but when it comes to range, I don't think he's got it. Whereas Tim, I see that. And I also see the defensive ability at 19. Is it 19? And he's that good already. So I think that he will be here for the season.
I think it depends on if we get because we spoke about Augustinson coming in as well. I think that's very much a push the can down the road as well with the money that we're going to pay for him, because it's only something like 500 grand to get a player in of that quality, like an international 500 grand on loan. I think you have to take that specifically when you're in squad building phase. I think that gives you more money, maybe, that if you're bidding for a player and if you're getting gazumped for him, like I'm going to just throw out names here. I don't know if they're linked or whatever, like a Sangare, look, hey, even an Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, as I've mentioned before, I don't think there'll be much gazumping going on there. But if you wanted to sweeten the deal for Liverpool to get him to let him go or something like that, this gives you an extra 4 or 5, 6 million, whatever case it was, which I think is needed, because the money pit won't be there forever. It's not going to be there forever. But I think that Tim, you do make a good point there, but I think that Tim's future will be dictated by what we do, because there will have to be players in that room that will go out.
Yeah.
I'd be disappointed if we went into the league season without at least one more name in there. I just think it was a stale room last season, and I think Kamara coming in does freshen up the one area that they were deficient in, but I still think it would be stale from a creativity point of view, and that's something that I'd be a bit disappointed in if we didn't bring in at least one more name in there. Yeah,
I've thought for a while now that it'd be 2 midfielders, one being a specialist 6, which we've got in Kamara, and a brilliant deal on it as well, a free agent, which is still, I can't get over that. And then I think the second one that we'll see will be an 8, maybe an 8-6 hybrid, depending on what we want to be. But it'll be someone for me that's good at winning the ball, whether it's pressuring or intercepting. He's good on the ball, can keep it ticking, also progress it. And that's quite a, small criteria to find. And I think you're looking at possibly expensive players, but we've not spent too much, if you know what I mean. We've spent 26 on Carlos. We've spent what half a million in the Augustinson, 17 million on Coutinho, and obviously free agent Kamara. And how much was Olsen?
Also, I think, I don't know. Was he free?
It
was only a couple of million. It wasn't anything. Jesus,
so,
we could nearly have afforded that ourselves, James.
Yeah. So I think especially because we don't really know who's outgoing either. It could happen late in the window. This is everything. I think it depends what comes available. It depends who leaves. There's a lot, I think, that could happen late-ish. I know that Gerard and the staff won't want to leave it too late. They don't like late business, but sometimes it is what happens and what's available. So yeah, we'll see. But I genuinely do think there will be another midfielder coming in, 100%.
Yeah. And for me, for my own, and it's all about me. It's all about what I feel. If I feel happy about it, and that's how the club should be building their hopes and dreams around, and I feel more comfortable going into the season with somebody. And I'm not saying that it has to be a £50 million signing of somebody. I can't even think of somebody off the top of my head there. I'm like, don't go. Hey, there's 80 million for Casemiro. I'm not looking for something like that. I'm just thinking that if somebody comes in with a skill set that can complement people around there, that's a bit different, or something I could see fitting in there, I think I'd be a bit more happy, because the staleness doesn't come from the fact we've got bad players, because I think that every single one of those players can play at Premier League level. At a Champions League level. I think you drop any of the, like Morgan Sanson has proven he can play at Champions League level because he's done it. I think Dougie Luiz can play. I think they all can. But what I think is there's staleness in there because they've all been together, and a lot of them have been there together. And sometimes you just need to freshen that up, because styles make fights, and maybe they're all a bit samey, I think.
I think there was a slight imbalance in a way for the season, wasn't there? I think there was a lot of people that could do the same, and there was some people that we were lacking in areas that we needed control. So yeah, I think there could be a couple of switches that happen. Someone may be going out, someone may be coming in. Just wait and see, I suppose.
Absolutely. And then last but not least, and I think one that, like, Manchester United minus Cristiano Ronaldo with a new manager in a bit of turmoil, not making the signings that everyone predicted them to do, to go out and blow a lot of cash, struggling to entice Frankie de Jong, signed a left back, Macia from Feyenoord. I don't even think that's fully done yet. I think they're wrong in that one.
I think they did announce it, but I might be wrong. I can't remember whether they were sending him out on loan straight away or not, but I'm pretty sure they announced him.
He's a good player, but it was when he came out of left field for them. And Jesus, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not even a United fan, but God, I nearly need to take out my eyes and wash them in a bowl of water every time Alex Telles plays, because he is useless at Premier League level. I'm not going to say he's useless. He's better than me. But God, if he was our left back, he would drive me mental watching him play. I really dislike watching him play. I don't know what it is, but so maybe they've got a succession plan for him. But it's I think Steven Gerrard is going to go all out in that game, and I think he'll want to win it, because I think for him that would, like, Villa and United have the thing where United do have the hex over Villa. Villa are going to be playing them and going to be in a more stable position. No Ronaldo. Players coming back off international duty like ourselves, but they have more players coming back off international duty, and they're trying to install a brand new system for the first time under Ten Hag. So it'd be really interesting to see what way that one goes. Yeah,
well, I mean, for me, growing up, the amount of people that I knew that were United fans, that they were glory hunters, 100%. They went from Arsenal to United, and all I kept hearing was every time they beat us is and I hated it for years. And I just can't stand United. I love every time we beat them. I love it, and that's not very often. So if we can beat them in Australia, I'd take that 100%. And as you say, especially because that's second to last game of pre-season, you're looking then to be gaining that momentum and being almost at top level of fitness, sharpness. So. And obviously, as I said before, your game plans are starting to come together. So that'll be a good game to watch, I think. And I think we'll get a good sort of gauge of what we might see at the start of the season, lineup wise as well. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Well, some breaking news. We might be somebody that we may not even have. Or well, we will, because I think it will look like they're trying to sign him on some sort of a pre-contract agreement. But there you go. There's Fabrizio Romano tweeting that Barcelona have serious interest in English talent Carney Chukwuemeka. I would imagine they would, considering he's one of the best under-19s in the whole entire world at the moment. But at his age group he is anyway. He's appreciated as a player with huge potential, and the player in the final year of his contract at Aston Villa, and will be available for a FIFA training compensation in January. And that drives me scatty.
Yeah.
The fact that we would get that a team like that would get him at pennies on the dollar. And I genuinely, like, I'm not going to sit here and wave my arms up and down, but I would have a little moan and a rant at the club for this. And look, I know they've been trying. I know they've tried absolutely everything. And sometimes you just can't you can bring a horse to water and you can't make it drink. But it, like, when you see, and I'm going to keep saying it, when you see Romeo Lavia going for 14, 15, 16, 17 million, and he could turn out to be a better player than Chukwuemeka. But when you see that we've got one and they get him for like 2, 3, 4 million, oh my God, it just pull my eyelashes out. Drives me mental.
It's frustrating, if you've got a great academy and you've got some real superstars by the looks, potential wise, you don't want to lose them, but I suppose you don't win every battle.
No.
I'm wondering what route they want to take with it. I thought that if he wasn't going to sign a new contract, I thought they might sell him this summer and get a better fee for him than compensation would get us. But I wonder whether they're going to chance it and try and convince him through the season. It's a dangerous game, but 5 sub rule this season. Competitions that we want to stay in for the long run. Suppose you just wait and see. I would be gutted to lose him. Of course, if he goes on to become something big, which it looks like he could be, you would be really regretful. But Perslow himself was a massive fan. I think it's only a year ago that he said he's the best under 18 prospect in the country.
16, yeah.
Under 16. And you just think, well, they must have thrown everything at it, but one of those, if his head's turned or if he's not getting what he thinks he deserves game time wise, which I think he's got every right if he backs himself. It is what it is at times, frustrating, but you have to move on.
Yeah, and look, I suppose Barcelona have the allure of a club that like Barcelona, but if a lot's to be believed, they don't seem to be paying their players at the minute. So I think there's a lot more made out of that, because I think there's some willful kind of forgetting to mention that they are fully aware they've got these things called economic levers that they're going to pull at certain times that will allow them to, like, essentially free up the bonds, like 700 million or something like that. But it's done on a municipal basis or something. It's done in conjunction with the municipality or something. I've read into it, but it's very complex and I don't understand an awful lot of it. Because of the ownership structure that Barcelona have, essentially being fan owned and things like that. But they've got these economic levers they talk about, and that they will activate as many of them as needs be. So when you see people talking about Frankie de Jong being owed 29 million and this person being owed 17 million, and this, they will activate those levers over the course of the summer. And as I say, I'm going to stop talking about it, because I'll say something that's completely incorrect if I start going about it, because I just don't fully understand it as well. So look, I think we're pretty stocked. So what 3 players do you think have the most to gain from this trip to Australia?
I think I would automatically say Kamara, because it's a good chance for him to settle in with the squad. Carlos has already had a little bit of time, but I'd probably also say him as well, because if them two can both link up some chemistry, because they'll be playing really close together. I personally think Kamara will be dropping in, so that from the back is going to be important. So I think those two. I want to say Archer, because I think this is his time to prove what he can do around the first team. If he can, work hard, look like he's got it, he could be staying around for at least until January, which is what I want to happen anyway. I like it. I think Gerrard will want at least 3 forwards going into the season. And for me, he saves a lot of money. He's a natural. He can do with working on his link-up play, but a natural goal scorer like that is just gold dust. And I think if he can prove that this pre-season, I think it could be a really big breakthrough season for him.
Yeah, they're an interesting 3. I'm going to throw three completely different people at you, and I think that I think that the players that have the most to gain from this are Danny Ings. I think Danny Ings has a lot to gain from going on tour. He's coming off a season whereby things went okay. Only I would say he will give himself a 5.5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 for the season.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a fair marking to give himself. I think Emi Buendia has a lot to gain from this, because I think there will be times where they play with 2 9s, 1 10, and I think there'll be times they play with 2 10s, 1 9. And can he show that he is at that level, that exact same level as an on-form Philippe Coutinho? Now, will Philippe Coutinho be on form, I suppose, is another question, but that's not the question I asked. And then the last person I have is Leon Bailey. Leon Bailey has, like, where in the Ballon d'Or does he want us to inscribe his name at this stage after the game, after the first half against Walsall? No, that's tongue in cheek. I suppose he was good. He was good against Walsall, but I think that he can really build upon. He can really build upon that through the off season. I think he needs that. I think we could see him heavily featured in all three games, Leon Bailey, because I think they want to kind of have a look at him and say, right, can you play 3 games in 7 days and not break down? Or can you at least play 45 minutes, over the course of 7 days, 3 times over the course of 7 days, and not break down? And can you be influential? And what can you do? He's going to be used to playing in the heat. God knows he's played in the CONCACAF or what is it? Yeah, CONMEBOL? Yeah. Whichever one. Anyway, he's played in that one. The one that he's played
I know what you're on about.
Yeah, he's played in the Caribbean for long enough, so he's used to playing in the heat. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see if he can build upon that, because, like, you can't buy his pace. Well, sorry, you can buy his pace because we did buy it. You can't teach his pace that he has, and he has got a trick, and I think that he has an awful lot to gain from that. So Ings, Buendia, and Bailey, and I'm loving the fact that it's 3 attacking options that we have to prove themselves. And who do you think, on the flip side, who do you think is the most to lose from this preseason?
The fringe players, obviously, they're either fighting for a chance to stay or they're in the shop window. Traore instantly popped into my head when you said that, because I think he actually looked quite good against Walsall. There was some tracking back that I've seen from him that I've never seen before, and I was really shocked by it. So he's either vying for a move or he's trying to get his place back in the team, because any player would want to stay in the Premier League, of course. So I think if it could have a good run, it could still be in the reckoning, because, I mean, if we lose, we've lost Trezeguet. If we lose Traore, then I'm pretty sure El Ghazi will go as well. We've only got Bailey as a wide option, which, I know we don't play naturally wide up front, but you want to have a couple of options as a change, because if things aren't going right, you need a different approach. So I think Traore would be one there that I'm thinking, let's see what happens with him, because I think he's been given a chance, hasn't he, this pre-season to impress. So that would be my shape for that.
I have a couple of guys, and I agree with you in Traore, but once again, I'm going to go with 3 different ones. I think Freddie Guilbert, I don't know what kind of mentality Freddie Guilbert has. I don't know whether he... I have no reason not to believe that at times he gets frustrated and goes, fuck this, send me out on loan. And I think that's probably what happened last season. And look, he's well within his rights to that if he wants game time. But if he's on the plane down here, I think his temperament is going to be under test, specifically with a new manager. And the way that he would lose out here is that he wouldn't be the second choice right back, or maybe even push Matty Cash, because we know he's good. But it's really about what does he want to do? Does he understand what his role is with the team? So I think he's number 1. I think number 2 for me is somebody we've mentioned previously. I think Marvelous Nakamba has a bit to lose with regards to this. I don't think Douglas Luiz is going to go anywhere now with AC Milan are out of bidding for him. Well, it seems like they're out on him. I think he's going to stay. Now, obviously, his contract details and stuff like that are still up in the air. Will he sign a new one? It seems to be that he isn't, but then again, it seems that he hasn't been offered one yet. So do Villa look to cash in with him and try and find a buyer for him? But I think I'm going to leave him out of it, because I think that he's worth keeping around. But I think Nakamba could be somebody that could play himself out of favor with Steven Gerrard. And then the last person that I have is, and it's completely just escaped my mind. So who's that? What did I say? Freddie Gilbert, Marvelous Nakamba, and it's gone. It's gone. Oh yeah, and Danny Ings. I was going to have Danny Ings in both places. I think that Danny Ings needs to start scoring. He needs to start scoring in friendly games. He needs to start, but he needs to do more than just score goals. He needs to be that Danny Ings like we saw against Everton as well last year. That game against Everton where Leon Bailey got the 2 goals. Danny Ings was amazing that day. He was everywhere and every grade of blade of grass in the field. And I think he's going to need to show his worth around the field like that because, he is somebody the club could cash in on. There are people that want him, the likes of Brighton want him and so on. I don't think he's going to be sold, but it could be a 2-horse race for that striker's role. Okay, yes, I am pushing Cameron Archer to the side, but the 2 senior strikers there are going to get a shot at being the starting striker. And Danny Ings, I think, could be somebody that might, he should be scoring goals on a preseason tour. And fingers crossed he does, because he does look in good shape, and he does look sharp from some of the videos that we see from him in training.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's more of a complete forward than Watkins going off previous seasons, because he likes to drop deep like Ollie does, but he's a bit better on the ball. It's just we didn't see it consistently last season, but I've said this many times, we didn't see a lot of consistency last season from any player. Cashy's up there and Ramsey's up there with consistency. It was just a bit, inconsistent all over. But Ings is at that stage in his career where he's at his peak. He's probably only going to decline from now, I think. But he's still got plenty of go in him. He's a goal scorer and he's good at link up. We did see some good link up between him and Watkins at times, just not enough. If they can forge a partnership in those games where we are 2 up top, not many teams have 2 strikers like Watkins and Ings, let alone having an Archer that's coming through as well. So, I think you're right. Ings does have a big shot at, improving this season.
Yeah, and it'll be all eyes on him, I think, for me anyway, specifically when we do, when I hopefully wake up at 4 or stupid in the morning on Sunday to try and do something. He will definitely figure very much in my team sheet tantrum if I do make it. Guys, thank you so much for your time tonight. I know you've been with me for the last however many days that we've been doing podcasts, but I really enjoy it. And you guys have been a great comfort to me in my time of need while I've been isolating here. I am going to break free Nelson Mandela style tomorrow. I will have a speech. There will be congregating press around and everything to hear my freedom speech from my isolation chamber. But I am looking forward to seeing daylight again tomorrow. But thanks so much, everybody, for watching today, and I hope you did enjoy it. And thank you so much as well, James, for popping on. James is going to be coming back as many times as he wants to over the course of the next season. So I really enjoy talking to him. And don't worry, we're not pushing Paddy out to pasture at all. Yeah, Paddy's away at work this evening as well. So we will have a lot of three ways. I was going to call it threesomes, but I don't know. Will YouTube take it down for talking about that?
Grey area.
Grey area is right. Grey area. But we will have things like that coming up in the course of the upcoming season. Guys, there's 117 of you watching. I really appreciate that. Can we get some thumbs up on the video as well? I'd love that too. That would really help us. Just click the thumbs up button if you like it. Really helps the algorithm as well. And don't forget about our audio podcast too, because the audio podcast we have. There's a Jaden Philogene Bidace piece up there in the audio podcast, and there's also a piece on the Academy up there as well. So if you haven't listened to it, give it a listen. I will find a way to pop them up, or I will pop them up on YouTube at a later date, but I just don't know when. There's reasons for it which can't be disclosed just yet, but we will try and get them up at a later date. So if you want to listen to them, go listen to them, specifically the Academy one, because that was a really interesting conversation with at Academy AVFC on Twitter. It was a mine of information. So thanks very much, everybody. Once again, Monday coming up on 10 o'clock. It's been an absolutely roasting hot day, and the Lionesses are after kicking 7 shades out of Norway somewhere along the line as well. I don't know what it finished up, whether it was 6 or 7-0. Was it 8-0? Well, then, that deserves a celebratory brew for any of you over there in England. So crack it open and toast to the Lionesses as well, because it looks like that they're going to be the team to beat in the European Championships this season as well within the women's game. So thanks a million, everybody. That's Monday in the bag. We will be back again before the end of the week, maybe once or twice before the end of the week. And as I say, I will endeavour to do a team sheet tantrum for any of you night owls or early birds, whatever we want to call it, that will be up on Saturday or Sunday morning. So thanks very much, everybody, for everything you do. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.